thanks for tuning in. So for today's video, as you saw from the title, we're going to be installing the dual APX exhaust system from RJWC. And when I was looking up install videos on YouTube, apparently they don't exist for my model Outlander. So today, you guys get to come along for the ride and help us install the exhaust on this. So when you order your RJ exhaust on their website, obviously you use the code Kaygirl at the checkout to save you 20% because everyone wants to save money. Everybody does. So when you order your exhaust, it comes with a little thing in the box with a little QR code that you can scan on your phone, and it brings you up to the website. And you can scroll down the website, pick out your ATV exhaust, it'll give you the install instructions, and you gotta sit there and you gotta squint and try to figure out and zoom in, and nobody likes to do that. So I took the liberty of printing out all the instructions so that we can help us install this tonight. Everything that you need for the exhaust comes in the package, except for a tune. So if you don't already have a tune and you're upgrading your stock exhaust, you're gonna need a tune for it, sorry. So I got everything all laid out here along with our handy dandy little instructions. So it doesn't say in the instructions what tools you're gonna need. So little reminder, you're probably gonna need a couple of ratchets. You're gonna need a 4mm, 5mm, and 6mm Allen head sockets for all of these little bolts. And these little guys are an 8mm, so you're gonna need an 8mm socket. And you're also gonna need an 8mm Allen head socket because these O2 sensor plugs are not pre-tightened, so watch out for that. And obviously you're gonna want a torque wrench. Nobody likes torquing things, but if you don't know what 62 inch-pounds feels like, you can easily over-tighten these clamps. And if you over-tighten these clamps, there's 3 of them on here. If you over-tighten one of them, you'll end up warping the pipe and causing exhaust leaks, and then you're gonna end up getting water in your exhaust if you go underwater. So do not over-tighten these guys. So obviously the first step is to remove the factory exhaust. Well, I already did that a long time ago. That's why I have that Krossflow on there now. Before that, I had the Yoshi exhaust. It was actually a pretty decent exhaust. It's just obviously not as pretty as an RJ exhaust. So I upgraded that a long time ago, but pretty straightforward. Remove the clamp up front, and then there's that and that for those 2 hangers up there, and it's supposed to be down there, but the RJ only has the one mounting point with that one clamp in the back.
Five minutes later.
Jill, that was on there.
Yeah, just a couple years worth of mud sticking it on there.
And heat.
Just because we all want to know what this thing sounded like from factory. Threw the old factory pipe on there. Let's see. So step 1 after removing the stock exhaust is to install these brackets onto the pipes. So it wants the rounded edge toward the logo and then the sharp edge on the inside because that's where the brackets mount up. So use our 4mm Allen head. One main thing with all of these bolts, do not tighten them all the way. Leave them all just finger tight because you're probably going to have to move and adjust everything. It says numerous times, do not tighten these fully as they may need to be adjusted. Do not tighten, they need to be adjusted. So obviously when you position these duals, you're going to have to be able to move them up and down numerous times to get them positioned properly before completely tightening everything. So one main thing to keep in mind for everybody. Next up, we got to secure the pipe to the muffler as shown for the right side and then the left side. So we throw the pipes on there and we got the gaskets and all of these little 8mm bolts. So we throw these guys on that one, and throw this guy on that one, and then this guy goes in the middle with all of our handy dandy little clamps. All right, we are finally starting to get an exhaust that looks like an exhaust. So next up, we have these little ear tab things that go on the sides. These little guys, this way around. So those ones go on there and there, like that. And then there's these little mounting bracket guys. So that's a different story. These ones, it appears I'm gonna have to remove my license plate. So these guys are supposed to go up in there like that, into those little bolts. So I'll have to relocate my license plate, which is perfectly fine with me. Nobody likes to look up a license plate anyways. All right, so these little brackets are starting to get a little frustrating, but I think I got it figured out. So with the license plate bracket removed, I can install these in through there. So they have these little washers up inside there, along with that washer on the outside, but they have these aluminum spacers, and then they thread into this little wheelie bar, and then they go in there like that. So the trick to getting this little bracket up in here, you gotta slide it on this way and slide it down. Otherwise, it's not gonna fit on there. But that is how that goes on there. And then you install the little spacer. Up inside the frame. And then you can have fun trying to thread that into a blind hole. If you get it in first try, congratulations. All right, test fit time. All right, so in the middle of the test fitting process, the way that they want you to do this, there's an Allen head bolt that they want to go on the inside. And there's also supposed to be a nut on the outside. So the issue with that is once you put this bolt through there, they want you to do it this way. But from what you can see in here, you cannot put an Allen key in there. There is just not enough space to be able to do that. So we had to put the Allen head on the outside because that way we could actually put a socket on the outside of it to tighten it down. And the other problem, I ain't got no nuts. I have these extra tabs, 2 extra bolts, but I ain't got no nuts. I didn't have any nuts. So luckily, we're mechanics, so we have a large selection of nuts and bolts. So we have nuts. We have the bolts facing outward instead of inward. And carrying on we shall. I don't know about you guys, but this exhaust looks and sounds absolutely phenomenal. Definitely impressed with this exhaust. So one little thing that they mention in the instructions, as you probably should, after you take it out for one drive cycle, you should probably go around and double check all your bolts, make sure all the bolts are still tight, and all those clamps. Once it goes through a heat cycle, the pipe's going to heat and expand and contract. So go around and double check all your clamps. They actually all were pretty loose. So I'll mention that again. The torque spec for these is about 5 foot-pounds, 62 inch-pounds, 7 Newton meters. Just do yourself a favor and go around with a torque wrench after your first drive cycle and give them all a good little torque. Well, that's going to wrap it up for today's video, and make sure that you like and subscribe, because if you like to see a little bit more install videos, we can totally do that. So the next up video, I'm going to be a little spoiler alert already. Matt got a RJ single for his Outlander. So that's going to be for the next video, so make sure that you like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one.